They didn't just pick any old rocks to create temples. And after about 10 years of observing this, and I've seen God knows how many thousands of these things around the world, I come to the realization that there's a reason why they drag these rocks from as much as 400 miles away when the rock over there was perfectly suitable. And you start asking questions. What's wrong with that rock and what's right with that rock over there? And it turns out there's a common element going on. They're very rich in quartz, and it's a specific type of quartz that was also used for very early radio receivers. So it has a high piezoelectric quality to it. Secondly, they're packed with iron, which means that also the stones attract lightning. So the last place you want to hide when there's a thunderstorm is inside a megalithic chamber. And I just came back from Portugal to demonstrate the point where a massive cork tree that was over 100 years old literally got taken out next to a big dolmen. The dolmen's okay, but the tree got the full hit of the lightning. And then it's also packed with magnetite, and that also helps to attract the magnetic current to the actual site. So in other words, you're dealing with these megaliths, which are packed with the exact right minerals, which allow it to store information, memory, and of course energy. And there was a famous, actually, he wasn't even famous, and I wish he was, a guy called Pierre Méreau in France who wrote a little pamphlet. He was a skeptic, he was an electrical engineer, wrote a little pamphlet, it's about 56 pages long in French, about les pierres sont vivants, the stones are alive. And I've been telling people for years about that the sacred sites are not static. These things are living organisms. You can sense them. They breathe in and out. They go to sleep overnight, and they are wakened at dawn. And the energy is felt to a greater degree at dawn. And he said exactly the same thing. And what he did was he went around prodding the stones with electrical devices to show that, yes, the stones, depending on the shape, whether it's a menhir or a dolmen or a stone circle or a passage mound, that shape defines the way the direction is attracted to it, how it's stored, and how long it stays in the actual site. The general consensus that he came across was that every 78 minutes, the energy is stored up in the stone and it's released. So if you touch the stones at the wrong moment, at the wrong time, you get one hell of an electric shock. And there's no end of dowsers that have done this. They'll get curious, they'll get a dowsing response, and they'll go, that's interesting. And they'll put their hand on it, they ground the energy, and they won't feel their forearm for 15 minutes. And I'm one of them. So it's a very weird experience. But then you're back to normal. And he also said that the energy field works like ripples around the actual stones themselves, as much as 36 feet away from the actual stone itself. So the stone literally has its own aura, its own spirit. It retains information. And it's going to be there forever. As long as people go to the sites, they honor the sites, they put their prayer and their wishes into the sites, which sends a kind of an electromagnetic packet of information into the quartz, and the quartz remembers. So let's say you're standing in front of a big stone, and then you'll say, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here to touch you and to be in your presence and to learn something. And the stone remembers that because that information is going into the quartz, and the quartz remembers it. Now, you do that thousands of times over the course of the year, multiply it by, 5,000, 6,000 years, you can go back and retain the information. Well, it's the same thing with crop circles as well. The energy field would still be in the field 5 years after the crop circle has been mowed down.
Is it the quartz, or is it electromagnetic energy within the quartz?
It's the electromagnetic energy within the quartz, and the quartz remembers and soaks it up like blotting paper. Yeah, so after that, you've got geometry, where the geometrical structure of the design of the temple will define the purpose for which it is built. In come the Russian scientists during the Iron Curtain, when they were saying, well, we don't have the money to build hospitals, but we hear through the woo-woo people that these buildings, because of their shape, they induce healing or altered states of consciousness or a kind of a spiritual connection with the other world. Let's find out if it's true. And these people were way ahead of the game. They really were. They wrote some of the best information. And they said, no, it's true. We decided to build rooms shaped like pentagrams in Bulgaria, because we've heard that the pentagram was always associated with healing. And even the Greek philosophers understood this. And they said, yes, it's true. You put people in a pentagonal-shaped room, rate of healing goes up dramatically. Same thing when you put blood inside a spherical shape. The blood coalesces much quicker. So there was a relationship between the shape of the temple, the way you place the megaliths together, and the effects that take place within it. After that, it's the way that the direction in which the temple is oriented to a specific star or constellation, which actually gives you the date of construction, because usually it's to do with the sun at the solstice or the equinox, and these things move over time. And also, a predominant amount of them are aligned towards Orion. The first time that Orion crosses over the horizon at that specific location, and that pins it right down. They were very big about mirroring the sky in the actual temple. So those are the fundamental principles that make up the temples that we know and love so well, and why they're still alive, and that's why we go to places like that and honor them.